Patreon, you were the chosen one! Hello and welcome back to the Draw Jam. It has been kind of a week for us here in the indie creator space. To be honest, it's been kind of a year for everyone. 2017 has turned out to be pretty rough. But I thought that it would kind of bypass us creators. So I guess I shouldn't have been surprised when it all trickled down to punch us right in the face. I am, of course, talking about Patreon and their announced fee change, and then their walk back of that fee change, and then the ensuing week in between where their brand was horribly damaged, and us creators were kind of kicked in the teeth as well. So I kind of want to break this discussion down into a couple parts. First, I want to talk about the fee change itself and why that was terrible. Number two, why I no longer trust Patreon despite their apology. Number three, things that I would be looking for, upgrades to a system, maybe Patreon would do it, or like a competitor. And then finally, the last part of this section is talking. I want to talk about your plan B, how to kind of future-proof the way you monetize your work, because what this situation has demonstrated is that no one gives a shit about you. All right, so I'm going to try to break this down as simply as I can, because this is going to be a long video, and you've probably read about this elsewhere in a much more in-depth explanation. But what it boils down to is Patreon had planned on changing their fee structure, the way they're charging patrons. They said that this was to give creators more money, which in theory it would have, but there's a very practical reason why that would not have actually worked out. So the way it works now, let us pretend that I am a patron or a potential patron and I want to contribute to my favorite artists. They set up a Patreon page and they have all these different tiers. I want to contribute at the $1 level because that's something that I can afford easily. So the way it works now is I pledge my $1 at the end of every month. I will be charged $1, or at the beginning of every month I'll be charged $1 on my statement. So for the year it'll be like $12. Yay, I give $12 directly to my favorite artist, no middleman, all that kind of stuff. All the processing fees that go along with that happen on the creator side. So me, now I'm the creator, I am charged from Patreon a 5% fee. And then whatever processing fee is incurred when the card is charged, I am charged that. So from that $1, I might get 80 to 90 cents depending on the month and depending on the charging fee and depending on if it's PayPal charging the fee or a credit card charging the fee, all that kind of stuff. I, as the creator, will incur that cost. Patreon wanted to change that to give more money to us creators. So let's pretend that I am now back in contributor mode. So I'm a patron and my $1 fee. On the 18th, Patreon wanted to change that. So instead of me just paying $1 a month, now they're going to add on a 2.9% extra fee for processing plus 35 cents. So now instead of me being charged $1 every month, I'm being charged $1.38. I think that's how the math works. So technically, the creator will receive 90 cents, but when you change the fee on somebody like that without much of a warning, you're going to lose patrons. And that's exactly what happened. They announced this fee last week. A lot of creators were super pissed about it and spent a whole bunch of time online telling their patrons, this is what Patreon is planning to do. I understand that this is predatory and hurts you, the patron, directly. If you need to cancel your pledge, that's fine. We're going to fight Patreon this and be loud and obnoxious and tweet about it and yell at them and call them up and just get in their faces to try to change this. If you feel you need to drop out because of these changes, we're not going to fault you for that because it's messed up. Certainly creators want more money. That's why they set up Patreon pages. That's why they decide to monetize their work, because we deserve something for what we do. But we don't want to do that at the expense of our fans. Do you know how hard it is to convince somebody to not only buy something from you, but to put in a recurring payment every month on their credit card statement just to go to you and your work because they like your stuff? It's so hard to get to that level, to get somebody to make that commitment. And to pass a fee on to the patrons, that's bullshit. Pretty much every creator I talked to who runs their own Patreon page thought this was bullshit and let Patreon know loudly. So after days and days of being dragged through the mud by big name creators and small creators alike, Patreon decided, hey, man, we screwed up. We're going to back off. We're not going to roll this out. Things are going to work out the way they have always done. We are planning on making a change at some point in the future, but instead of springing this on you like a fucking ninja, we are going to consult with the creator base. Yay! Which brings me to point 2. I do not trust Patreon any longer. Now, I'm not really a business guy. I draw things, and that's what I'm good at. Like, getting venture capital and angel investing and all that kind of stuff, that's kind of foreign to me. But it seems to me that this fee change was geared more towards satisfying investors than it was to help us creators. Like, I know that they tried to pitch it that way, but if people leave because of the fee change, it doesn't matter that I'm getting 95% of whatever money's left over. That's less than before, because now there's this mass of people that's just gone from my Patreon page because of this whacked out change. And I understand that Patreon is a for-profit company. You gotta make money to keep the lights on, and they're probably losing a lot of money. But don't fucking lie to me. If that's the case, just say that. Just say, like, we're changing this because we need to keep the lights on. We're changing this because our investors need a return on their money and they're not willing to just support creators. That's not what we are about anymore. Don't fucking lie to me. Don't say that this is better for you, the creator. It's not. It's not. I don't make a whole lot of money on my Patreon page. So any patron that I lose is a big dent in the total income that I can generate from Patreon. The initial blog post that Patreon put up to kind of mitigate the outcry sort of indicated that they worked with a lot of creators when coming up with this fee structure. I don't know who the fuck they talked to, because I have friends who are some of the higher tier earners in the comic space on Patreon. They were never consulted, and none of them liked this change. We all want to make more money. I mean, of course, that's why we're doing this. That's why we look into things like Patreon. But we don't want to do it at the expense of our fans, of our readers, of the people who support us. That's bullshit. None of us would ever do anything as predatory as that. So whoever Patreon consulted with, it's a very small, insulated circle of high-end creators that don't remember what it's like being down here in the trenches. The thing that's really disappointing for me, and I'm talking about like disappointing when your parents say, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. It's the reminder that these platforms don't really care about you, the creator, no matter how much they profess to be here for the people, here for the creators, here to make your life easier. It's all a lie. They're there to make money, and we are the product that they are selling. And because it's their platform, they can make whatever change they fucking want to. If they all of a sudden decided that they wanted to get rid of all of us low earners, if you're not earning more than like $500 a month on your Patreon, you're gone. They can do that. If they decide that the $1 tier is no longer something that they can sustain, they can do that. They can do whatever the hell they want to. They can pay as much lip service to us, the creators and the public, as they want to. They can profess to say that these changes are to make things better for you, the creator, or like, we've consulted with all of these creators and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, they can make whatever decision they want to. It sucks to have this be that kind of a reminder, but these platforms don't care about you. If you are a creator, if you are the product, they can do whatever the hell they want to. So that sucks. That's real disappointing. Third part of this, I just want to talk about changes or upgrades I would like to see in Patreon or a system like Patreon. And there are two things that I see that are holes in kind of their system. Number one, I'd like some sort of file vault. I've been playing a lot of Destiny, so everything is a vault or a kiosk to me. But I'd like some sort of vault where I can put files in for the various tiers. So like it would be locked off by tier. Like, you know, these files are for the $1 tier, these files are for the $5 tier, these files are for the $10 tier. So that when you pledge at those levels, you get access to those files. Because a lot of the things that I offer up to my patrons are digital files. So like, you know, PDFs of my comics or access to sketches or things like that. And right now, the only way to do that is per post. So if you want to give something to a certain tier, you have to do it per post. And if you have new patrons, they have to go through the system and log back and try to find all those previous ones instead of having a centralized location for all these things to be. So I think if Patreon was to add some functionality like that, that would be a great help. I think if a competitor comes up with something like that, like a file vault or a kiosk for the various tiers, I think that would be awesome. Because a lot of times new patrons miss out on previous reward tiers if your rewards are digital. If they're physical and they're things that you send out, you know, that's not going to help that. But if your rewards are digital, having a file vault or a kiosk would be awesome. That's tiered and has past stuff. And if you want to clear out seasons, you could do that. Like these are all the things for 2017, or these are all the things for, you know, spring or fall or something like that. You could structure it however you want to. But having a vault where everybody has a centralized location to pick up their rewards would be really cool. The second thing is sort of like a cultural shift. Patreon does a terrible job at highlighting lower earners. So like it's very difficult to find new creators who aren't necessarily as popular as some of the big names. They're very good at promoting the larger creators, the so-called life-changing creators and that kind of stuff. But they do a really piss poor job of highlighting lower tier earners. So whatever system comes out to compete against Patreon, or maybe Patreon figures out how to do this themselves, I would like to see better promotion of newer creators or people who could use a boost in the system. It's very difficult for patrons to find new creators. It's very difficult for new creators to get the word out through Patreon alone. So I think that's a major weakness of the platform, and I would love to see them fix that, or a different platform coming around to implement a change like that. Which leads me to the last bit of this: how to future-proof your earning potential. If you are reliant on one platform for a majority of your income, your livelihood is subject to the whims of that platform. And that's a dangerous position to put yourself in. And what I'm going to say really, really sucks, because what it means is more work for you, the creator. But you have to get into multiple streams of income, because none of these platforms are built for you. They may say they are, but unless you go out there and build your own platform, build your own processing system, build your own file vault, all that kind of stuff, do it yourself, you are subject to the whims of other people. And if you're not technically minded, or if you don't have a friend who can do that for you, you're subject to the whims of a Patreon, of a Kickstarter, of a PayPal. Like, there was a big change in Patreon for people doing adult content a couple weeks ago. Straight up porn was thrown off the platform. And a lot of these creators, that's how they were making a good portion of their money. So it's very dangerous to put yourself in that position. It's really easy to get into that mode, because if you're finding success on Patreon, clearly the system is working. But at any moment, that platform can change the way they do things. A lot of YouTubers found this out this year. The Adpocalypse 1, Adpocalypse 2, and now Adpocalypse 3. A lot of their videos are being demonetized for stupid shit. Like, this video is probably going to be demonetized because I cursed throughout the entire thing, because I can't, when I get emotional, I cannot not curse. I'm sorry. Like, the way I fucking talk. So relying on a single stream of income is tough, unless you have an actual day job. Like, if you're an illustrator for a company, or if like you're a game artist, I mean, you have more of a stable source of income. But even then, like, games tank, businesses close. things go kaput and you're shit out of luck. So as indie creators, it behooves us to bring in multiple streams of income, doing a whole bunch of different things at the same time. Me, for example, I do freelance stuff. I do a handful of commissions. I have an online store. I have 2 YouTube channels. I teach. I do, performances through Super Art Fight. I do conventions. I do 7 different things to make all of this shit here work. Also, I'm married, so that also helps. But if any one of those pieces fall out, I have other things to fill it, other things to pick up for it. Because I'm not making a significant chunk on any one of these different pieces, one of them can fall down and I can slot in something else. I would like to be making a lot of money on one of these things. It would be nice if something that I threw against the wall actually stuck for once. But until I get to that point, it makes sense to try a whole bunch of different things. Set up a Redbubble, set up a Society 6, set up a threadless shop, set up all of that stuff. And that really sucks because it means much more work. It means that instead of just concentrating on building up your Patreon following or your Twitch following or your YouTube following, it means doing all of those things at the same time. Because at any point, any one of those platforms can do some fuckery and screw up the whole way you make a living. And it just sucks. It really sucks because it's hard as it is to be a creator, The more time you spend on building these other businesses, the less time you're spending doing the thing that you're actually really good at, that you actually should be making money from. So it sucks. But what this means to me, what this whole roller coaster ride this whole week has reinforced to me is that you cannot rely on any one platform. Even though Patreon says they might be here for you, the creator, even though it was invented by an indie creator, even though they say that they're here to help you grow your business, that's not true. And we saw that. And sure, they apologized and things are back to normal, but that's not going to be the case in the future. They're still going to try to monetize this in a way that advantages them, not necessarily you. So why would you trust them? Why would you trust them? Why would you trust any of them? So that's the downer. That's the bad news. You have to keep grinding and you have to grind on multiple platforms. And that time away from you actually doing the thing that it is that you are good at means more time spent around spreading your shit all over the place. But you just can't trust Patreon. I'm sorry, you just can't trust them. So with that downer, that's all I have for this week. I wish it was more of a positive video. I kind of like to keep my drawing channel positive and stuff, but that's where I'm at. And yeah. All right. So good luck out there, and keep on keeping on. Bye.